Hi guys, my name is Bobby Semple. I'm the founder of Simplified Recruitment Solutions. And today I'm going to tell you all about how you can create your own recruitment process for your own business using all the tips and tricks of a recruiter that has over 15 years recruitment experience. So I'm going to go through a few slides. There's a few QR codes in here as well that you can zap, and it will give you access to some documents that you can use in your process as well. So be prepared for that down the line. Okay. So recruitment, the overall process of identifying, attracting, screening and shortlisting and interviewing candidates for jobs. So it seems pretty simple, but there is a process that you should follow, and that's what I'm going to go through. And in each of these steps, I'm going to give you some advice and also some tips that you can create your own recruitment process in your own business. So this is going to show you how you can create your own recruitment process. And with 15 years experience, I've recruited for some of the largest companies in Australia, such as My Chemist Warehouse, where I actually implemented and created their HR and recruitment systems. And I use some of those systems inside my own business as well. And I'm going to go through those for you as well. Back in the UK, I recruited for large companies like Rolls-Royce, Virgin Holidays, Virgin Atlantic and Goodrich. And those companies, I would go and sit in their HR departments and recruit directly for that business, but I'd actually work for a recruitment agency doing that. So again, I bring all this experience into my own business, which I'm going to share with you. I had a previous business before this, which I started with 2 people and ended up with 70 people. And that was all in the space of 2 years. And the processes I show you today are exactly the same process that I used to grow that business to 70 people in 2 years. So recruitment processes, ATS, applicant tracking systems, what are they and why you should use them? Each industry has their own technology that is specific to that industry, and it allows the business to be more streamlined and allows them to have a clearer view on data, which really means that it's a lot more streamlined and a lot easier to use than just using a spreadsheet or maybe tracking it through your own emails, etc. By having this system really means that you can do a lot more things, and it saves you a lot more time as well. There are several around. As a recruitment company, we use one called JobAdder. It's actually linked to Seek, and they partially own JobAdder. And it's a great system, and I'm going to go through how we use that in a moment. But there are plenty of other platforms that you can use. As you can see on the screen, we have My Recruitment Plus and Elmo. They are they cover everything really. You can have HR in there, you can have payroll, you can have really connect any part of your business. Some of them also have finance in there, as in you can connect Xero to it. So it really depends on how far you want to go down the line of connecting your business to an applicant tracking system. My Recruitment platform is a good basic platform to use as well. Bullhorn and Bamboo are also up there with some of the best in the world. So depending what you need, they all give you different options, and of course there's different prices. Most of them are going to be a subscription monthly fee. And as an idea, so JobAdder charges us $150 per user, and that then obviously increases as we get more and more recruitment coordinators in the company. So why you need an ATS, an applicant tracking system, is you can create your own recruitment process in it. And it's a process that gets followed for every person you recruit, which makes it a lot easier. It makes it so much easier for you to manage and make sure that each person is treated the same as they come through the application process. You can post your jobs onto several job boards with one click, again, saving so much time. If you imagine that you had to go and post a job on Seek and just in Indeed, you'd have to go and create your profile on Seek, you'd have to go and create your profile in Indeed, and then all the candidates are just going to come into your inbox and there's going to be no organization at all. So it can be really difficult if you don't use an ATS. You can manage applicants with consistent messaging, so you can create templates in these systems. And so if you're getting your admin person to do the recruitment, you can set all this up for them, and whatever that person sends to the candidate and email-wise, it's going to be the exact wording that you want, and it'll be the same wording for every candidate that you communicate with. helps you build a pipeline of resumes and a bank of applicants. So if you are recruiting a lot of people for over a year, but you're only recruiting one person now, but you get, say, 10 good applicants, you can put them into the system and they'll be there ready for you. So you can then bulk email them to say, hey, we've got another position open. We liked your application before. Would you like to reapply? And so it's a lot of recruitment agencies use this, especially in the percentage model. They'll create, so say if I specialized in accounting, I would create a resume bank of all the best accountants. So when my client comes to me and they go, I need an accountant, I can easily send a message to 20, 30, 300 people if I wanted to say, hey, there's a new job. And it just makes the process so much easier. And you can track the progress of your applicants. So there's several steps, and if you're recruiting maybe 2 to 3 different positions in your business, you have no idea where you are with each candidate. So by having it on the screen as a picture, it shows you where everybody is and what the next step is for those candidates. And it can do so much more. There's so many apps now these days that can connect into these applicant tracking systems, which allow you to do multiple things. And I'm going to go through some of those apps that we use as well. So the recruitment process. So as you can see on the screen, we have a job adder page, and in the background, that is just a general picture. So it shows you all the positions that we're recruiting for and the company name. And on the forefront, you'll see where it says job title, administration assistant, social media. You can see across the top there, that is our baseline recruitment process. So it's a very basic process. There are things within inside of those different headings that need to be actioned. But as an overall, this is the kind of thing we're looking at. So you can see where we've got new, this is where the new candidates come in. We've got shortlisted, and we've also got video interview. So we can see we've got 1 candidate at shortlisted and 2 candidates at video interview. And so it's a real clear, easy way to look at the screen and go, I know exactly where I'm at and I know where I'm short on the candidates just by one look at the screen. And so if you set this up properly, and these applicant tracking systems have people who will do the onboarding for you. They will create all these systems for you at a cost, but you can then get everything done for you, and then it's really just served to you and ready to go. But we have a system where any time that a candidate is moved across these different sections, an email is automatically sent to them, advising them of the next step or what's going to happen next, or maybe even a rejection email. So it's really streamlined, it's really easy. So once we send that email, it automatically moves the candidate, say from shortlisted to video interview, or video to submitted, or submitted to client interview. And we're not then having to type an email and go and send it from our emails. It's all connected via the applicant tracking system, and it's all logged, so you know exactly when you've sent something to someone as well. So recruitment process. So we follow this process. So we have shortlisted, phone interview and video interview, face-to-face interview, offer and contract, employment checks, and onboarding. So through our process, we've simplified recruitment solutions. That's our baseline. If a client wants to add in there a second interview, or they may have some more testing, we're really flexible, and we can add certain things into the process. And that's the great thing about using an applicant tracking system, is you have the baseline there, but you can make it what you want and add certain steps in if you need to. But the first thing is job boards. We need to be able to write the job advert. We need to post it for people to apply. So there's plenty of job boards. You've probably heard about these ones. So Indeed and Seek are probably the leading ones in Australia at the moment. Facebook is okay. It's free. Anything that's free is, if you get 50-50 chance, really. Adzuna is free, and Jura is free, but Jura is mainly hospitality, etc. But you just never know. And I like to post our jobs onto every job board that we can, because let's just say we post it onto Jura, and you have a friend who is really looking to be a barista, but they know someone who is an accountant looking for a job, and they see your job, then they can tell their friend. So it's always good to put it in as many places as you can. So there's just 5 job boards. When you use an applicant tracking system, this is just 3 screenshots from the one that we use from Job Adder. It gives us unlimited options. We can actually recruit for any company in the world, because we have access to every job board in the world. There's plenty of free ones, there's plenty of paid for ones as well, and they all connect to your ATS, and you choose where you want to post the job. And with Seek as a paid for, they have 3 different options when you pay for an advert. And with the applicant tracking system, it actually gives you those options and it tells you how much it's going to cost. So you can see that if I wanted to add a job to all these job boards, I could add them to my applicant tracking system, and then with one click of the button, I can just go down them and tell them where to advertise the job, and it's going to post it all onto that job board, onto those job boards, which means then every applicant who applies comes back into the ATS, into the view that I showed you before. So job adverts, we can actually script a job advert within the applicant tracking system. So say if you're recruiting the same person over and over again, for whatever reason it might be, you can just create the template, and the next time you need to advertise it, you just go and post it and it's already there. You don't have to rewrite it. So just a few tips on writing the job advert. Most job boards allow you to put a summary, and this is where it's the most eye-catching area. So the candidates are scrolling through the screen, they're just seeing the different jobs, and there's maybe about 2 to 3 sentences that you get to try and catch the attention of the candidate, and show them the money. Wherever you can, always try and advertise the the salary in the job advert, because everybody's time poor. We think we're time poor, but candidates are the same. If they're scrolling through a whole, let's just say they've got 20 jobs on their page, and they're all customer service, and they're looking at your job, but the job below is showing them the salary, and it's the salary they want. Well, then they're going to apply for that job and not your job. So show them the money if you're able to do that. Make it easy to read, use small paragraphs, and definitely bold the headers so it separates the different areas of the job advert. Again, everyone's time poor. We don't really want to put loads of information in there. We just want to capture the right information, and so the candidate is excited and want to apply for the job and learn more about it. I'm a massive bullet point lover. It makes it so much easier to read anything, and especially if you're just writing down duties or any experience they need, you can just add them into bullet points. So it's easy for the candidate to read through. And again, create the template in your ATS. So we at Simplified Recruitment Solutions have a basic template that's been written by a copywriter, and we use that template and we just edit things in there depending on what the client is looking for. So it makes it a lot easier for us to post the job. I've worked in some recruitment agencies, and it can take 3 hours to write a job advert, but then we have to share it around to all the other consultants, and so it can take a lot of time. So if you are writing a job advert, put an hour aside at least to get that right. And there's plenty of tools on the internet. If you go to Seek, they will show you how you can script your job advert properly. So we've posted the job, we're getting applicants to come through. And so what we do is when it comes into the system, it allows us to open the resume. It will allow us to look at the candidate's details that they've entered. And obviously the resume is the key part. We also get a cover letter if the candidate has applied with it. Where these days they're very limited now. I don't see a lot of cover letters unless it's important, like a big change in their career, and they want to explain why they've changed something. So once you start getting candidates through, you're going to perform a resume scan, and as a recruiter, you probably get around 2 seconds with us as a recruiter, because we've seen so many resumes. We can just read through it really quickly and see where the person fits in with the process. And so download the resume, have a read of it, look at the experience of the person. The tenure is a really good one. We try and always look for tenure around 2 to 3 years. If you are recruiting in the next 6 months and you do see people have changed around jobs in 2020, don't take it don't discount them because of that. In a normal world, we probably would, but because of 2020 being such a strange year, and also 2021, we're a bit more relaxed on tenure, but really you're looking for 2 to 3 years experience in a similar role. Check out the skills and qualifications. This is really going to show you, if this person is going to be able to come in and do the job, or whether they're going to need a bit of training on the job. And the key thing to look for at the moment is transferable skills. We're getting massive amounts of people who are changing industries, changing jobs, changing lives, changing everything. And you can find some really good candidates who are looking for a change, who've got great experience, but they might not have that experience in your industry. But we are getting some amazing candidates who are looking for that change. So if you are willing to spend a bit of time on somebody and a bit of effort, a bit of training, but they've got some amazing skills and experience, then have a look at the transferable skills. And so with some applicant tracking systems, with most of them, you can get, it can be done by a robot, it's automatic resume screening. And what that means is, what happens on most of them is the applicant tracking system reviews your job advert. And then when someone applies, it then goes through the resume and compares it to the job advert. And it's basically just keyword matching. And so in Job Adder, what the system does, it gives us a score out of 100, being the best and 1 being the lowest. So what we can do is if we've got 100 applicants, we can then go into the applicant tracking system, click on the candidate's applicant resume scoring tab and order them with 100 being at the top and then 1 being at the bottom. So anyone with 100 means they've got all the keywords matching in their resume, so they would be the first people we'd go and look at. And then at the other end, we've got maybe a score of 10, which means there's less relevant information. So some recruitment agencies and some internal recruiters would use that as gospel and not review all the resumes. We go through everyone again, looking at the transferable skills. But what we do is we put the best ones at the top, so it just saves us a bit of time. And that is part of your ATS anyway. So we're shortlisting the candidates, and most applicant tracking systems will give you a scoring system. As you can see on the screen, we've got a starring system in ours. And what it means, again, if you're going through 100 applicants, it can get very, you get overwhelmed and you forget what the last 3 people were like. So you just give them a score out of 5, and it just allows you then to go back and look at the ones you've scored higher than that. So as a recruitment process myself, what I do is I review all the resumes. I just go over them very quickly. I give them a score out of 5, and then I'd go and review them again in a day or so and compare them to any of the applicants that have come through. And then the best of those shortlisted then will go on to the next stage. So on to the next stage, this would normally be the phone interview stage. And we use video interviews in this moment now. We used to do a lot of phone interviews. In the past, I've done them before. They're very time consuming. You can be on the phone sometimes for half an hour, and you might have 10 candidates you're trying to call. So it's very time consuming. It's time consuming for you, the candidate, and in an ideal world, you're going to call them, and they're going to pick up the phone, and they're going to answer all the questions, and they're going to be great. But 9 times out of 10, you call them, they don't answer, they call back, you don't answer, then a week goes by, you're going back and forward. So we use My Interview. There are plenty of other video interview platforms out there. We found My Interview the best value. And they actually have a free version. How it works, you pay subscription, and the more jobs you have on, the higher the subscription, but you get 2 free jobs to work on to start with. And so on the screen, you'll see this is an example of the video interview that we have. It's just an image. But if you wanted to see a video interview live in action, you can scan the QR code, and that is going to take you to a client video testimonial. And what that is, we've actually used our video system for the client to use as a video testimonial. And we are able to enter questions into the video interview platform and send the candidate a link. The link then is opened by the phone, on the phone or the laptop, and questions come up at the bottom of the screen, and the candidate answers those questions, and it records them, and it sends us a beautiful little link. We open the link, and then we review that for the client. And so you can do the same. So you can actually meet here, see these people before you even actually make the commitment to move on to the next stage. So it saves a lot of time, and it's really, really cost effective. So again, we're just going to go back to the recruitment process. So we've shortlisted, and you can see here we've got 2 candidates at video interview. So that means that we have sent the candidate the link to the video interview, so we know that they're on it. And then once they've completed that, we then move it across to the submitted section if we're going to send the candidate to the client. So you can really see how this helps. Because if you've got 2 or 3 jobs on and you've got lots of candidates coming through, you can get very lost very quickly. So now we come to the face-to-face interview. Again, we can create templates in the ATS that will allow you just to enter some information, and all the wording is there already. But please make sure you offer a couple of different dates and times. Don't just turn around to the candidate and go, okay, well, I can meet you on Monday at 5 o'clock. Try and give them some different dates and times to pick from. Be flexible. Lots of things happen. I've heard it all. My car's broken down, and my tires burst. The dog's eating my breakfast, or whatever it could be. There's plenty of reasons. I've heard all of them, and you've got to take them at face value. You've got to give them the benefit of the doubt to start with, and just rearrange the interview if they can't make it for whatever reason. At the end of the day, you're making the commitment to them, and that must be for a reason. So if you are still happy with the candidate, then be flexible with them, and either jump on a Zoom, or if you want face-to-face, just rearrange it. If you confirm the interview by email to ensure that they've got everything, they know the date, when they're going to be, who they're going to meet, all these things can go into your interview template, into your email template. So who they're going to meet, your phone number as well. We've had clients who they were meeting a candidate, and the candidate didn't have their phone number, and they were trying to get into the office and they couldn't get in the office. So they ended up calling us, and then we called them, and it can be a bit of a pain, and it doesn't look good to the candidate either. So you're really trying to present your business to the candidate and in a positive manner, and by taking out all these issues, by just sending an email with all the information, it can really help. And if you want to go even further, you can just put a link in there to a Google map to parking, so they know where to go and park, because if we're in the CBD, we know it can be very difficult to park somewhere right by an office where we want to go to. And remember, the candidate is interviewing you at the same time. So this is what I mean by having consistent messaging going out to the candidates, and especially as we come into 2021, and we know that a lot of employees are going to want to change and look for a new challenge because they want to be either treated better by the company, or they're just after that new challenge. So always remember, it's not just about you interviewing the candidate, they're interviewing you. I've had candidates call me back after an interview saying, I couldn't even sit down in the office because it was a mess, wasn't even offered a drink. All these things add a negative sign to that person, and they're going to, if they get offered the job, they could turn around and say no, and then it's just wasted everyone's time, all because you didn't offer them a drink and you didn't tidy the office before they came in. So in the face-to-face interview, I have a interview process document like this, and so what it allows me to do is to treat every candidate in an interview fairly. We're going to ask them the baseline questions the same, and obviously if we have some questions about the resumes, then the questions can be a little bit different. But what we're trying to do is make sure we're treating every candidate the same, and we have this set process that we follow, and it gives us some tips on what to do before the interview, at the interview, and after the interview. And again, if you can see on the right hand side, score out of 5. If we're interviewing 5 candidates, then that, in an ideal world, there might be back to back, that would be great, but it doesn't always work like that. You might be interviewing 5 candidates over a 4-week period, and then you can't remember what candidate one's interview was like. So by adding a scoring system, we'll give you a good idea of what happened on the day. So there's a QR code there that will take you to our website, and you'll be able to download that form, that interview template for your own business. There are set questions in there, and there's also spaces for you to add your own questions. And it's just a really good document for you as a baseline to start your own recruitment process off. So happy for you to scan that and take that away. And if you've got any questions about that, you can always reach out to me. So now we've interviewed the candidate, we love the candidate, and so we move on to the offer stage. And what we do with the offer stage, we do it subject to employment checks. I've worked in some businesses that do like to do the employment checks before the offer. I've also worked in businesses where they do the employment checks before the interview, which I think is a bit too much. But definitely by offering the salary and the job to somebody subject to employment checks, what it's going to do is speed the process up. You might have to get your contract drawn up and then send it to the candidate. So let's say that's going to take a week, and all of a sudden the candidate has just gone off and been to another interview and got a job. So by going, offer is here, this is what it is, and again we can set that as a template into Job Adder or any ATS. So you just have to complete the salary bracket. So you have all your wonderful terminology and wording in there that makes the candidate feel amazing, and say this is the offer, this is where this is the start date, but it's subject to employment checks. So if anything did come back, then you're quite legally allowed to take away that job offer, and because of the employment checks weren't satisfactory. Always put it in writing. I've done it myself. I hold my hand up. I've done it before where I've just made the offer. I've just gone on to something else. And then all of a sudden, I don't have any evidence of it. The candidate's talking about one thing. We're talking about another. So always put it in writing, even to the point I was probably even do it in writing in first and then call them to make sure that you've done it in writing. And it's also a great feeling to have something in an email, to see it pop up with an offer gives you a really good buzz, and that's what we want to do. We want to make sure the candidates are feeling great, especially at the offer stage. We need to get that momentum and make sure they bring that momentum into your business. You can add your contracts to your ATS, so it's you can email it out, and it's all done electronically, so no printing off. So I would say 99% of our process with all our documentation and forms is totally online. It just makes it so much easier, streamlined. All the documentation is stored within the candidate's profile within the applicant tracking system. So if you want to go back to it, you can always go back to it. For employment checks, so reference checks, we always do 2 reference checks, ideally one on the last employer, and then one can be really from anything. If you are offering a candidate who has got 15 years experience and that's their last job, then one reference is going to be enough. You don't need to go back to somebody else. It's going to be too far back. We get some candidates who want to use a friend or a family member, and that's fine as long as we have one reference that is from an employer, the most recent employer. We do a working rights in Australia check, probably the most important check that you can do above references. References you can take with a grain of salt. I think that anyone can write a good reference if they really want to. So working rights in Australia check is really important. If you're hiring somebody, you want to make sure they're on the right visa. A lot of visas can be connected to a location, so it might be rural location. It might mean that they have to work for that employer for 2 years, and if you employ that person and the government find out, then you're going to get a big fine, and also the candidate will also get a big fine. It's pretty easy to do. If anything, the systems that we use, and which I'm going to show you now, the candidate has to provide that information to a third party, so it's pretty easy to do. Police check as well, always good to have, especially if you've got somebody working in finance or customer facing, or even with cash, dealing with cash as well. We do one with every person that we hire, just to make it easy. So we do all these checks. Again, they can be all added into the ATS, and there's actual third-party providers who I'm going to show you now, who you can connect to your ATS, and they will do all these for you. So as a business, recruitment company, we use CV Check, and they cover lots of different checks. They do references, Working Rights Australia, they do police checks. They do, if you're looking for experience check, a certain kind of qualification, they'll do that. And it's really streamlined, it's really easy, and it all connects into the ATS. So what we do is we send the candidate a link that is linked to CV Check. They enter all their information, and CV Check go and do all the references for us. They do all the working rights in Australia checks and also the police checks. Referoo is a little bit different to CV Check. They're mainly for references, but the good thing about Referoo is that it's totally up to you on how you script it. So you can put all the information in there, all the questions you wanted to ask about that candidate. However, because as a company we have so many different industries, we use CV Check and we use one of their templates. And in all honesty, the CV Check references have got some great information in there, and they even ask questions that I wouldn't have asked without actually seeing that reference. So it's a real good cost-effective way of making sure that your candidate is who they are legally allowed to work in the job they're doing, and also they don't have a criminal record. So now we come to onboarding, probably one of the most crucial parts again. I've worked for many companies who the onboarding was terrible. I started that they didn't have my bank details. I didn't have a seat to sit on. I didn't have a computer for about 2 to 3 weeks, which was fun. And so what we have a program that I've designed and created to collect this information for us. You could do something similar. If you want access to the one I have, I'm more than happy to share that with you. So onboarding, tax file number collection. Again, we have a template in our applicant tracking system that we send to the candidate with all this information on, and there's a link in the email where they click on it and it opens up a portal where they can upload all this information for us. So tax file number, really important. It just shows that you're professional. It shows that you care about the candidates and you care that this person's going to come and work for you, but you understand they need paying. Super details, again, we don't want to be caught in not paying super, and we don't want to give a bad taste to the candidate. So by saying, hey, we need your super details, we want to pay you some super, is always a good sign. Again, bank details, personal information, next of kin information, really important. People miss the next of kin information. If that new employee of yours falls over, hurts their leg, you need to be able to call somebody. And I've seen it really in most businesses I've worked in, especially working in HR, happens at least once a month where we have to call somebody for some reason. And of course, the contract has got to go into the onboarding as well. You don't want to be starting someone without a contract. You want to make sure they've read it and signed it and before they start. The worst thing you can do is get them to start before the contract is signed, because then they have no reason. They can go, oh yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. They've already started. They don't have anything to kind of pull them to it. So if you can say, if you haven't signed your contract, then you will not be able to start without that contract signed. And induction, I have so many clients come to me and they go, you're going to guarantee this person is going to stay for 6 months? And I say to them, are you going to guarantee you're going to give them a 6-month induction and training? And the shock on their face is like, oh, yeah, but you said they're going to hit the ground running. Oh, yeah, but you've still got to show them the systems. You've got to show them how your business works. I've worked in some amazing places with some great induction programs that went on for 6 months. And I've worked in some other companies where it's been absolutely with no induction. By having induction, it really allows you to show that candidate or the new employee how you want things to be done, what the business is all about, what the vibe of the business. And remember, this is the most important part of the journey of this candidate, of the new employee. They're here, they want to work for you, they want to do everything for you, they love the job already because they've just accepted it and they're really in. So you want to get them doing everything you want them to do properly in this 6 months period. I used to work for a hotel chain back in the UK called Premier Inn, and we had a buddy system. And what we did, a new person came in, a waitress, we'd buddy them with the best waitress because we knew that the best waitress was going to teach the best ways to the new employee. So in 6 months' time, we had basically a clone of that person. And so if you have enough team members, then having a buddy can really help. But make sure they're a positive buddy, because it can work the opposite way. If you put them with a really bad employee, then they're just going to end up being a bad employee. Don't forget the computer and login details. Nothing worse than turning up to work and going, oh my God, we didn't even know, we forgot you were coming. I've had that before as well. So make sure you are ready for that. So now you have employed your new person. Now you have to reject all the other applicants. And there's a few ways you can do it. And so if you haven't, the rule I have is if you haven't spoken to the candidate in any way, then you can do it via email. If you have spoken to the candidate and you've interviewed them, they've spent their time, they've given you their time, then they are, I would be giving them a call to give them the feedback. And a lot of our clients as well ask about that feedback, what they should give. And it's really, you don't really want to give really bad feedback. You're trying to end up with a positive note. So always try and be positive about it. And you can, if they are a good candidate, the best line, and most recruitment agencies use it, is we'll keep your resume on file for the next position that comes up. And that might be the case. And then again, within the ATS, you can create a folder where you can put that person so you know that's the person you're going to contact next. So just I'm going to go over the recruitment process again for you. So we have shortlisted, phone interview and video interview, a face-to-face interview, offer and contract, employment checks, onboarding. Obviously, within that, we do have the advertising the jobs as well. But this is a real baseline, and this is what I would take away from the presentation today to really do a basic process of this in your own business. And that is how you create your own recruitment process for your own business. Like I said before, this is exactly the same process I've done for the largest companies in the world, and it really works. And it really gives you empowerment when you create this process and you understand that the new people coming into your business have been treated correctly, they get great information, and they're moved through the process efficiently and quickly. And that's me. And I'm Bobby from Simplified Recruitment Solutions, and that is my dog, Essie. She is my soldier. She's a pain in the bum, but I love her to pieces. But if you have any questions at all, happy to answer them. And also, you have my email. And if you want to have a Get Fresh, I love a Get Fresh. So come and speak to me and talk all things recruitment and business. Thanks for listening, guys. And if you've got any questions, I'm here for you.